I'm fairly confused. I vaguely thought about going out, but it was really pretty when I first got up about an hour ago. But now that I've eaten and everything and gotten some of my raid out of the way, it's another kind of gray day, and it's just a lot harder to convince myself. But so I come up here instead to at least play a little bit more. Maybe it gets prettier. And, I'm looking at the situation and I think, hey, wait a minute. Our royal marriage is reflexive. Okay. So the first thing I do to look for that, I'm lost now because this is not where I was, is diplomatic relations. I look at marriages. You may enter into a marriage with an opposing realm. See player-to-player diplomacy. Unfortunately, they don't have the little number, the page number there. Okay, that's interesting. I skim through here, and I don't see anything else. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the page reference is here on alliances, which solves my problem, because what I was looking at next was, I was looking at the actions, and there wasn't an action for player-to-player diplomacy under the diplomacy thing. But it must be here, it's under the basic actions. Why? I don't know, because, okay, so it is reflexive. Now, when entering into a marriage, both players may draw an action card of the type chosen. I don't know if that applies here. This was a free marriage based on an event. I'm going to ignore that because I didn't do it. But I just wanted to make sure it was reflexive because I could see an argument why so alliances have to be reflexive, right? And unfortunately, trying to remember what the game is. Some games allow you to specify defensive and offensive defensive alliances. Some games are very loose and are freewheeling diplomacy. But those that allow you to specify different kinds of alliances are kind of intriguing to me. Like, I like the idea of being able to say, you know what, we'll support each other defensively, but I'm not joining you on your military, silliness. This game puts a different measure on that by making you pay a cost for an offensive alliance. Now, trying to think about the period, basically I'm trying to think if there was any kind of concept of collective defense as opposed to just sort of the real power politics of, if you are at war, I want to support you because we will both gain. It's hard to tell, because I'll tell you one thing. Alliances were, whether or not they were specified as offensive or defensive, they were able to be specified as against a specific nation. So, what was it? Trying to remember who. I believe it's England and Spain had an alliance against France. And it was very targeted. And I mean, you wouldn't expect Spain or England to call the other in on any other opponent. Obviously, that could be handled. That could be handled in an ad hoc manner. We agree to an alliance, we formalize it and everything, but the only place it's acceptable to call the other person in is against France. And it wouldn't be binding, but, okay. But the thing is, these alliances weren't terribly binding anyway. It's a game mechanism put in place to try to represent things, and I feel like it kind of misses the mark. But obviously this isn't going to be the kind of loose game where you can write binding agreements between people that are just enforceable, nor is it going to be the kind of loose game where you can make agreements that are just informal and have no binding results. So, okay. All right, I'll go back to whatever the hell it was I was doing, which is the Austrian, trying to figure out the Austrian turn. All right, I just noticed something that I've been kind of passing by. The Iron Clown of Italy. I'm not far from this. Lombardy, Central Italy, and Naples. And owner vassalized 5 or more provinces in Lombardy, Central Italy, or Naples. Okay. Oh, no, I am far. Or further than I thought I was. Not Venetia. See, I have an ownership in Venetia. So I only have 3 of these. I would need 2 more provinces. However, if I could declare war, and there are places I can declare war on something with 2. Now, Parma doesn't have a capital marker. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, that's... Okay. I don't know if I missed vassalizing that or if it revolted. Parma is part of Cremona there. I have a claim in this area. I could start a war there. That would give me 1 more. That's not enough. Because that gets me to 3. I thought, oh, that's... Oh, shit. Okay. Florence I don't have a claim to. I don't think I can fabricate claims because I started a war. But I'm actually pretty close. So, you could say, well, you can't start a war, you've got an interregnum. Yeah, but I've got a ruler in here. This Marguerite that I could put down. I could build an army. I could take it out all at once, and now I have to think again. I thought I had the answer for a number of reasons. Well, I continue to puzzle with that, and I seem to have lost my sort of longer-term goals. Yeah, the claim is here. There's nothing. I could go to war with 2 things. I could go to war with Mantua and with that, and that might be my solution. I forgot I can go to war with 2 countries, two nations at once. So that's actually where we're probably going to aim, because my goals seem to have been too small. But then I remembered something. Somebody commented on the videos that the way they play this is without the missions, and I think that's without the national missions. I can kind of understand that feeling. However, I like the idea. I mean, that feels more like, and honestly, national goals and the random events were kind of what generated EU, like the concept of EU, right? You mix 2 things, events that are like fixed and written, and these missions. And they made it very different from what it could have been, which is just a more complicated version of these things, Soldier King, which feels, so there's something that feels very kind of, I don't know, too open-ended in those types of games, where stuff happens in them that you're just like, this just couldn't happen. It's just way too easy for history to go off the rails. I do like the extra. So the big bonus for pursuing your missions is you get victory points, which help win you the game. You can improve on those. You could maybe do better than those victory points by pursuing, say, the power play, or these I don't know, milestone things. You might be able to do better off of them. There's no guarantee that your personal missions are particularly advantageous to you. They're, especially at the beginning of the game, I feel that they represent appropriate goals. The problem is the later periods, as you follow them up, if you don't get that mission, it seems like there should be other missions that, or whatever they are, yeah, missions that replace those. Things that are that follow up on what you already have gained. You know, the fact that where Spain landed and what they get points for, where they landed was kind of random. Where Portugal landed was kind of random, right, on the New World. What they got points for is based on the treaties, based on where they landed. Now, yeah, you know, but lots of similar things. So, like, if the Hungarian marriage, if that whole Hungarian Bohemian inheritance didn't fall on the Austrians, they would probably have a lot less goals oriented towards recapturing Hungary, right? Their reason for recapturing it is twofold. One, to stop the Turks, and second, that they have a legitimate claim to the area. Same thing with the Burgundian alliance. The stuff that came from that, it's who picked up that alliance who should be linked to it. So, and it's weird because I think what happened in the game, in my game where Spain ended up inheriting it, is actually a representation of the reality, as opposed to it being inherited by the Austrian branch of the Habsburgs and transferred to the Spanish branch. Because there was no Spanish branch of the Habsburgs to inherit it, right? Charles V is the beginning of Spain and Habsburg combination. Anyway, where the hell am I? What am I talking about? I don't know anymore. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I am going to play myself a queen. I've got so many alliances on the board. I'm going to put Queen Marguerite in here. She's not going to give me any military capability. I don't have any military capability. And then I'm going to spend a cube to declare war on Mantua and Parma, I believe that is. Or is it Padua? It's got to be Parma. It's too far over for Padua. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So both Mantua and Parma are at war with me. I'm going to build an army there, and then I get to fight a battle. Oh, I forgot how little my army is. See, I've got a general here. Cubes are the issue here. So, or as always. So if it's going to be, God, I'm having trouble finding words, man, and my eye is blinding out. Something's very wrong going on here. Fuck. Okay, it's just blurring over. Like I've got something in it or something. All right, so there's two problems. I ran into the, oh fuck, I'm close to going bankrupt. So I am really worried about money. So I've got a conflicting, conflicting resource demands, right? I've got limited cubes and I've got limited money. Cubes are easier to move around. I can get 2 more military cubes. So I think I want to focus on this army instead of building a new one. Does that mean I declare war immediately? I don't know, man. Probably not a good idea, because I could get stuck in a war because the turn could end or something along those lines. So I'd rather prepare for war than fight it. Okay. This is not that big an army. I would be more comfortable with more army. I would be more comfortable if I had fucking cannons, too. Because then it would only take me 1 cube to siege those two, but that's okay. So first cost is, what am I going to build in terms of army? Shit. This is so tiny. Oh God, this is so little that I can add to this. But okay. Do I want to just chance it with this? I'm not going to make my decision yet. I'm going to move into Switzerland, I guess. That's 1, 2. That gets me within range. Can I be there? I don't know. I don't know what my movement requirements are here. I'm an imperial. Oh, I'm back here. I'm an imperial, right? I'm here. Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to move into Switzerland. I don't have any allies or anything there. I don't think I am. So we'll move here into Bavaria, where we do have an ally. And conduct war there. Now, see, things are different when there's a war involving the HRE, and I don't know if the HRE is just, if I can just move through it, in which case I would be in Switzerland. So I gotta look that shit up. I found this military access in the HRE. It appears to be only when there's somebody defending the HRE. But I did find something else interesting. Unlawful province occupants. I vaguely remember this. Austria has a casus belli against every external realm that owns HRE territory. Now, HRE territory has been reduced, right? But let's see who's in there. We've got a casus belli against Spain for their vassal in Savoy. No, it's owns, not vassals. So is there anybody in HRE territory? Venice, I've got one against Venice. I've already got a claim against Venice, but I built that for a reason. Denmark up here. That looks like about it. Because the HRE's gotten so small that it's not really an issue. Okay, so I spent a hell of a lot of time to move this guy down to Bavaria. And the only reason I can do that is because I own territories or have alliances within territories. Otherwise, my realms would be separate, and when not defending the HRE, I couldn't move between the provinces. Oh, I forgot to explain what was going on with my eye. There may be some grease on my glasses or whatever. That may be part of this. But the big thing was there was an eyelash in my eye. And I couldn't tell what was wrong. But yeah, it became obvious just as I turned off the camera when I kind of did that very quickly. Because it was hurting at that point. The easier question is, what the hell does Poland want to do? The most valuable thing I can think of is this Man of the Church card. I want to play that to convert Bohemia Catholic again. Do I want to be counter-reform Catholic? I don't know. I really don't know. Being counter-reformed Catholic and further fighting Protestantism with sort of a wave going forward is appealing. I don't get victory points like Spain or Austria do for being counter-reform. But the Protestant problem may be so great that I want to do it anyhow. So I got to make that decision first. This is a generic action. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to go counter-reform. I feel like the Protestant problem is too heavy to not go counter-reform. And the Catholic areas don't hurt me if I'm that. Can't really do much about the Orthodox. Those are... I can't oppose the reform. There's no infectiousness in Orthodox areas. He's having some trouble finding something to do, and they went and looked at the events and got a little worried. Decadent government ends up costing you admin cubes. Maybe I want to hold on to them. Russian imperial expansion, I'm kind of interested in that. But then I took a look at this guy, the volatile cost fluctuations. Okay, not great for me, but you pay for every loan you have. Okay, first thing I'm going to do then is I got plenty of money. I'm going to pay off my loan. Just because I do not want that there. But do I want to play this? All players must pay money equal to half their tax income. My tax income's big, so I'm going to owe a lot. Plus, for deployed and exhausted land units, I have a lot of land units. This is going to cost me a lot. And 2 for every loan they have or gold province they own. I don't think I have any gold provinces. I think the Austrians have 1. Here I'm most interested in, look, Austria is my main competitor victory point wise, and they have a huge debt problem. I can bankrupt Austria with this card. Do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? And I would also gain some stability if I can pay in full, which I think I can. It's a huge cost, but I could calculate that out. Half my tax income. My tax income is these, I guess. I don't know, it's tax income. It probably includes vassal tax too. Okay, 15, 23, 26. It's not base tax income. 26, so I'd have to pay 13 plus each deployed exhausted unit. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right, I'm at like 31 there. Yeah, I don't want to do this. I would have to go deeply in debt or else lose stability. This is intriguing, except that, oh look, I lose something to cause problems to Poland. Now, Poland's in 3rd place, but it's a distant 3rd. Doesn't feel like something I necessarily want to do. Oh shit, I've already fired off my event. What the hell am I looking at? I feel, God. I thought I had checked that already. Anyway, I don't know what Turkey's going to do. Maybe they just pass. But I definitely wanted to pay off that debt. I don't have the points for technology. I really don't have the points to do much of anything. I think I'm just going to pass after that. And I may play some advisors. What the fuck is wrong with me? I guess I saw that and thought it was Turkey. Turkey does have an event available. Fuck, I can't just pass. What the hell is going on? It's like my brain's not connecting and firing right. And I don't know, this may be the long COVID. Like, things are feeling really weird to me. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck to do with the Turks. Did I just fire this thing off? For every full 10D, you must pay 2 cubes. I don't have enough administrative, so I'd be dropping my stability down on the reform. But I'd only be dropping it once if I refuse to pay. Local autonomy causes all kind of issues. I mean, my stability's shit anyway. And there's some danger that could get played. Do I just want to fucking fire that thing off? I could do this, debase currency. Then I only have to pay half the costs listed. All right, let's do that. I don't want to go too far into debt. Because I just can't think of what to do. I mean, I'm in a should pass. Okay. All players have to pay, I can't read. I don't know what's going on. Half their tax income plus one for each, and they make a choice. So I've got to make that choice for every country. Half that money, causing me a stability loss, cost me most of the Turkish reserve of cash. So by my count, and I'm counting the cubed areas in against the tax income. I don't know if that's right either. 23, 26, that's 13 to begin with. And then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But it's more complicated. 11, 12, 13, 14 military units on the board. So that's another 7. So that's like $20 it cost me. And a stability loss to take this. Let's see how other players fare on this. Now, I just didn't want to go into debt. Was that wise? Do I care that much about the debt? Would the stability have been worth more? The problem is that I can't reform the government, so I'm going to lose a stability anyway if that fires off. But maybe I could take the debt. Maybe the debt is not that bad. I have such a huge income I can recover it. Let's think about this. Let's take all that debt on and improve my stability by 1. This could still be a problem. But if I... Fuck, I can't afford to reform the government. But I can't afford to reform the government anyway. The thing is, if this gets fired, yeah, give me my money back. I'm going down to stability -3. The thing is, stability -3 loses me an extra cube. There's a chance that I could be sitting here or here. But why have all that debt if that makes me a target for people to do the reform government? And that might well happen. So let's see how other people can handle their financial problems. Makes that same choice to drop their stability. Now, all the people who are at stability -3, this becomes an appealing event for them. Of course, we haven't gotten the 2 people who might choose it. Well, they're both already at stability -3. So, oh no, wait, that's yellow, not white. I'm having real trouble with my eyes right now. Wasn't just an eyelash. They're at -3. Has anybody got good stability? Poland. Poland's the only one who would be affected by that card, really, because everybody else can just sort of sweep it up and say, screw it, I will lose 1 stability for every $10 of money that I have. Because Europe is in chaos. Got a fuck up there, which I've resolved. Both Turkey and France, I forgot to pay their exhausted force pool. So that got included in. Turkey's down to $6 because of it. France is actually in debt. This is paying the half cost, right? Spain luckily didn't have any, but you know their money is getting swept away as well. And now I'm over on this side. The English are not in as bad a shape, obviously. They have a smaller economy. But they also don't have a lot of cash. You can see they took out a bunch more debt. I hope I was right. I keep thinking, geez, did I count the halving? So that's 17, 20. Yeah. They had to pay about $15. This was really a dick move by the Turks, okay? They had enough cash reserves, and some other countries do, to sustain themselves through this. Austria clearly does not. Poland clearly does. Poland may pay the whole amount, simply because, if they can, I don't know. They've got kind of a big economy too. But they have so much money. But it brought to mind something. So games that I have like business strategy or 18xx, more economic games, people tend to play that way really harshly. Business strategy is a game which is a race to the bottom. So you'd be making plays to try to bankrupt your opponents faster than you bankrupt yourself. And this is what this kind of reminded me of. In war games, you're often, in a two-player war game, you're often trying to, or a two-sided war, trying to optimize so that you can play kind of attritionally, and similarly, you're trying to burn down the opponent faster than you burn yourself down. But in a lot of games, in more of these geopolitical type games, quite often the feeling is more, let me just build up my stuff. Let me do my stuff kind of naturally. Don't fuck with me, man. Come on. And something like this that hurts you a lot to hurt a lot of other people more is almost anathema. I mean, look, people will laugh and enjoy it and everything. It'll be fun. But what I'm saying is there are people who will be like, oh, fuck, I had, this special magical goal for myself that, maybe doesn't have anything to do with the game, but you just fucked me out of it by trying to play to win so heavily and whatnot. And it's just a lot of people can be affected in weird ways by something like this. And, it's not really an attitude that I often see in these kind of games, your 4X type games, stuff like that. Sure, they have conflict eventually, but players are quite often trying to pursue some kind of grand design that they can justify on their own. And something like this can just throw that all in the toilet. And it can be very, very demoralizing. You feel like, yeah, we're competing, but I'm also kind of just trying to build something here. And this game and the original EU, I feel that way. It is odd, in my experience, for a player to do something along this nature in these kind of games. There are players who will. There's no question. One of my favorite guys to play with would definitely have analyzed it and come up with that solution. And would I? Yeah, probably. But I might feel really bad about it. Not for other people, but because of what it does to my goals. Because I do kind of make that same sort of, gosh, I'd like to pursue my own goals. Good thing Austria didn't pursue their war. By the way, now it's raining. I can hear it hitting, you know. So I guess I made the right move by not going outside and trying to enjoy myself. From like November at the latest, I guess, through, and I mean it's April now. So much is just rainy weather here. It's very, very, and you compare that to where I was before in Phoenix, where it was almost always clear skies and bright sun and whatnot. Yeah, there would be maybe a week that was bad, that was grayer weather here and there, but I could go out swimming every day, pretty much. And here and I don't know which is, in a way it feels more natural to be here, but it is very depressing to me. But depression is my nature. Austria's full penalty is 32. Okay, they clearly can't make that. 16 is half of that. They clearly can't make that. Okay, time to check the bankruptcy rules again. Bankruptcy doesn't trigger until you have 5 or more of those things. I need to do this kind of carefully. So Austria will pay all their money and one more debt. Good thing we don't have the banks, right? Okay. Now, we lose 3 stability. Yeah, that's great. We lose 5 prestige. I don't know what this is going to do. We discard all money and, well, we have none, but, and 3 of our debt. Well, 5 prestige for 18 bucks. It's not great, but disband all mercenaries, fire all advisors, and lose half my cubes of each type. There are no mercenaries. I thought my army might just disband, like the regular army. These are always rounded up, but it's a maximum of 3 of each type. Yeah. Okay. So obviously, not a good result for Austria. Maybe I can't prosecute this war, but maybe I still can. And my advisors are gone. The fact that I had low stability already, and everybody else does, actually kind of mitigated. Bankruptcy is not that big a deal. Okay, 5 prestige, and I was in the victory, in the running for the victory. Yeah, that's a big hurt, and that's why Turkey did it, right? Was to trim the Austrian prestige down. And on the other hand, got an advantage out of this. They love it. They paid in full, so they gained what's 46 bucks. So they actually gained stability. They're looking like the great power, financially at this point in the game. And I mean, the big difference between the two, between Poland and Turkey, was Turkey has a bigger tax base overall. I'm still kind of, well, I mean, they're just a bigger country. I'm still iffy about what is their tax income. It's hard to tell because these cubes over here represent conquered areas. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that you have to pay more, that you have to pay for those conquered areas for administering them and everything. So I'm okay with it, but you can make an argument either way. Other cubes might be areas in revolt, which you maybe have to pay to try to contain the revolt or something. Again, it can be argued either way. I chose one direction, probably the wrong direction. I'm finding myself, unlike in that time of wars, the Eastern European version of Here I Stand, basically. In that game, I found myself consistently making the right calls from the rules. Here, I'm feeling like I'm consistently making the wrong calls and even catching myself when I go back, even if somebody else doesn't. Okay, our next thing is piracy. This is on the Turks. I can place a pirate in a trade node of my choice. If possible, it must be a node with at least 1 merchant. Okay, so we get more pirates. I didn't remember because, privateers let you move pirates. Where do I want to hurt? I mean, I want to hurt Austria, but not that bad. Who relies on this kind of stuff? Well, I'm not that worried about the English. Let's make North America really ugly. Put a second pirate there. Sure. Let's put a second pirate out in the Caribbean. Great. And then the other thing, and I don't remember this one, disloyal vassals affects every PR that has any areas with vassals with either no cubes or marriages or fewer cubes in the area than an opponent. Of all areas that qualify, any affected player must pick an area with the most of their gains on all their and must then place a number of equal to their tax value of their and no whip. You gain whip at normal if affected, but do not need to place any. Yeah, great. Lucky I didn't just vassalize the Mamluks already. Like if I could have conducted a peace in mid-turn, they might have been all vassalized. I'm safe over here in Algiers. This was the only impact that hit me. We ran into some problems here. Turkey got away easy, right? France not so easy. Here, this was already, but it should have an unrest. It should generate a revolting army still, which I did not put in there. Okay, so France has some serious problems. Spain's are more complicated. It comes down to how you want to how you want to register with no marriage. Okay, so the Baleares, well, there's clearly a marriage in the Baleares, so no additional pieces are placed there. But Sardinia and Malta are both owned by Aragon that I'm married to, but the marriage isn't in the area, which is how it's kind of phrased. I think the marriages are tied to particular realms. So I think Spain is immune here and here as well. Oh, by the way, France also has this. That also, Luxembourg, or yeah, Luxembourg went over as well into problems. France is gonna, bad things are happening. England, luckily, has no vassals, so hey, perfect. Austria is ugly as well. Same thing as with Spain's. I have a marriage in Hungary, but there are Hungarian areas that aren't where the marriage counter is. Again, I think the marriage supersedes in all the Hungarian territories. Now, you could make an argument about vassals of Hungarian territory. I think that argument does pass muster. So I think this changes. Is this, of course, this means I have to look at everything. That's gold. That's not. What the fuck is that? Is that gold again? Yeah. I'm just making sure that I don't have vassals of vassals, because those, I think, would be potentially affected by this. But the biggie here is that Brandenburg is completely, that's just gonna disappear if I don't deal with it. Same thing with these. They're just gonna disappear. So Austria has a big revolt on their hands. Now, Poland. I haven't done Poland yet. So let's take a look. They have a vassal here, and I believe we'll gain 3. This is horrible. We have a vassal here, but we do have a marriage to that one. So, again though, some of these might be vassals of vassal. No, it doesn't appear to be. Okay. Now, what has happened due to this? This is a weird situation. Because, again, it feels to me like, let's check. No, fuck. I did it all wrong. I fucking did it all wrong. Of all the areas that qualify, any affected PR must pick an area with the most of their blips, gain burps, or on all their baps, and must then place a number of... Okay, so let's undo a lot of this. All right. This didn't get any. This didn't get any. Spain got none. Should they have gotten one? Yeah, so the question there is the marriage issue. On all their bleh, and then place another bah, where's the marriage? Any areas with vassals with either no cubes or marriage. Again, I still feel like if you're not a vassal of a vassal, and these are not vassals of vassals, Naples would be a vassal of vassals. So Spain is okay, unaffected. Let's go to France, which we kind of screwed up here. Not this one. It's going to be this one. Not this one. This was not in unrest. Yeah, what I was going to say is this is feeling like, you know, an 1850 whatever situation where all of Europe erupted in revolts. Except it's only among the vassal states. What the fuck? It kind of makes sense with something like this cost fluctuation that there'd be a massive restructuring, but not just of the vassals. It would be more than that. To the Austrians, what did I hit? This one has 3. We're going to exempt that. This one has 3. Which one goes? One of those 2 is going over. All right. I'm going to have this one go over instead of Brandenburg. Brandenburg's part of the empire, is very useful to me. And now, what is weird though is that there's this disruption of the vassalages all at once. Every country hit at once. This would make more sense if you could hit one country or something. Of course, it wouldn't happen enough, right? But yeah, it does feel really weird that like everybody loses one. I got the only place that I could hit using those exemptions. All right, that kills this card. We are moving so fucking slow because nothing seems to make sense when I do it. And I need to pause. This is crazy what's going on, but I can't yet. Okay. $2 on the decadent government, $2 on the Russian imperial expansion. That's a real blow to the Poles. Again, I don't know if anybody would do it. Global trade. All players with are ships on 2 or more distant continents. Nobody has the latter. Well, wait, I guess it's or ships on 2 or more distant continents may either gain a third merchant or develop a small into a large or is that a for free. Growth of cities, you may develop a coastal small. Okay, this is weird. All players with both of these gain either a third merchant or develop a small town into a large one for free. That's the core of it. That happens to everybody. Then, you as the player who chooses it get one of these 2, where you may develop a coastal small town into a large one for free, or you can expand a maritime trade zone for free. This would be really powerful if you were already on multiple continents. Nobody is yet. It might be worth aiming for that. You'd be able to get a third merchant or a town increase and another trade zone expansion or a town increase. That would really significantly boost some of these nations. Who could do it? It's a good question. And who's going to? Okay. France is actually not in a terrible position to do this, except France is a mess now. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Is that right at 2? Yeah. Okay. The problem for France is... Well, what is the problem for France? I thought I had one. Oh, no one can do it. That's the answer. That's the answer. No one can do it because someone could explore and get something, but no one's going to have the towns in the 2 or more. Wait, it's or ships. Or ships, right? Real easy. Real easy. Lots of people can do it. Okay, so France could do it by putting a ship somewhere else. possibly over here in the Far East. That's going to be hard to reach. Probably easiest to get me into the Americas. And that would just take a military cube, which would take a reorganization, or I could do an exploration and get in there. Spain, absolutely no difficulty at all, right? Would have to reorg still. And again, could do an exploration. England cannot do it. They don't have the diplomatic cube to do it. And they don't have the capability to reorg. But there's one more thing. France can't do it for one simple reason. They've already played their event. So they do not have the opportunity to trigger this. So it becomes really, really unuseful to them. So one player has this opportunity, and that's Spain. And boy, that's kind of nice to fall into at this moment, right? It's like, yeah, it's the last card, and most people are played out and can't pull this shit off. And oh, look who can, it's me. By the way, I don't know what happens if I vassalize this and I didn't have enough vassal markers to cover it. I guess I could let some of it not vassalize. I don't know. I think I would still destroy the NPR. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I've made it through 1, 2, 3 players, half the board, and it feels like I've gone through 2 turns worth of hell to do this. Today was a short day in Raid so far. Like, I've got stuff I've got to put off until later. But even so, by the time I get done with it, and yeah, I came up here for an hour or whatever before, it's nighttime. There's no chance, you know, and obviously, look, I could rearrange my life priorities and whatnot, make sure I'm awake during the day. Obviously, I just don't, you know, desire to do that enough. And there are reasons for that. Every Friday I have to be out at a certain, you know, I have to be awake during almost the entire dark period, right? And that kind of is the only requirement I have, except that every couple weeks I have to be out during normal hours sometime to do shopping. Everything else fits around that, and you just kind of get into a habit, right? Or a set of habits. All right, on to France while I let my game play itself. France, I'm going to do a reorg. I don't have any cards I want to throw away. Just to get a military cube. I got to deal with this. If I had already passed and that event came up and all this problem happened, basically the vassal breaking thing, I would be in a much worse situation. I'm in pretty bad shape though, right? I can march and attack. Then, assuming I win, I get a cube back and I can fix one of those areas. But that's it. And I've got a fair amount of unrest out. Spain's choice is tough. Their initial plan was to move a cube over and convert another area using the missionaries' functionality. Could even be an area that I don't own, and start building up, you know, so I could create a counter reform here, which would be another cluster. And that would be able to start intervening elsewhere. It would all collide together eventually, but, you know, whatever. Or I could create one up here. In areas I'm interested there. I got to be real careful. Those would probably just get squished by the main force, but then the main force would be disabled and I could do other things. Thing is, that main Protestant cluster running down to here, it barely touches me and probably is not going to be hitting my areas. It's probably going to be going into Germany if it's auto decided. If it's not, it's different. But this showed up. I'm the only person who can play with that, right? Right? Yeah. And it's very, very appealing. Well, I'm not the only person. I'm the only person who gets a real big bonus off of that. Of course, it also will generate more problems in the rest of the world. But I want to chance it. I'm not doing all that well. I need to start doing better. I got to get good, man. I don't know. So what is my goal? My goal is another continent, which has to be Spain. Has to be Africa. Can I do it? That's the first question. I only have a couple of light ships left in the game and a bunch of galleys. The answer is yes, I can. I could do it maybe with a trade action. Because I don't have to explore, man. I don't have to explore. All right. All players or ships on 2 or more distant continents. If I got lucky with a trade action, I could move this ship from C to here. And that would actually be a workable one. I would need to draw Ivory Coast, but it seems like the cheapest option. Well, that double piracy there completely fucks this. The only card, it doesn't screw up, you know, the thing I was hoping for, which was to get something in the Ivory Coast. Yeah, I don't get that. It didn't show up. But this card has a North America trigger, and I would have a fair amount, actually. 1, 2, 3 in an improved trade zone, but there's 2 pirates, so that's 2 layers down. Boom, gone. So I'm going to take my $2, probably not waste another cube on trade, because, I don't know. The chances of getting Ivory Coast are really low, and all I need to do is get a ship out here. England drops a cube to get rid of some of that unrest. That puts us back around to the beginning. I guess I'll keep playing. See, it's just such a like many things, living your life according to the timing of a video game that doesn't really align properly is problematic. For me, the problem is today's a special case. Some events are coming up in 5 hours or so, at like 2 in the morning, that is really when I should be expending my efforts for the day. But that doesn't fit my schedule at all. And I don't know what the hell to do. That's why it would be perfect. Like, if it were daytime out right now, I would go for a walk. Because I don't, you know, I don't want to play my game. I don't want to waste resources until later. I know that I can't play this throughout for the most part, and I'm not ready to sleep, and it would be a bad idea for me to sleep right now. So I'm just in this sort of hellish position where I got nothing to do except wait. And this is the problem with an addiction. Austria's desire for a war was foiled by that event. I do have a little bit of an army. It's no bigger than I'm facing. General could be pulled. Do I want to rearrange? You know what? I do, because I might still be able to pull off the war. So I'll move cubes over. I was also forced into an ugly vassal situation. I actually have 2 armies. I could move either of them, but I can't combine them. You're not allowed to do that with land forces, although somehow... So, you can make this argument on small-scale games, right? It's harder with the old EU, even. But with games where, you know, forces are operating, it was very hard to coordinate 2 forces to do something. But here the turns are like 15 years. The idea that I couldn't get both of these armies to coordinate in a single location for a fight is kind of ridiculous. There's cards that allow it, but they're rare, you know. I don't think I have one. But I have to deal with that problem. I have a couple of military cubes. I guess I'll play around with those. And We're looking at an axeman. And Poland has no military capabilities. I'll build up an army on the axe. Enough again that I can build some cav. You know, why not? Same thing the Turks are doing here. Why not get extra hits? Because I'm still only going to be rolling the same number of dice. I'll also transfer my leader. Can't see why I've got the leader in the wrong place. Maybe I fucked things up, I don't know. This army is no problem. As long as no unrest shows up near it that it can go flock to. Improve their stability, but I don't want to do that as long as this card is out there and might get fired off. Okay. Which means I also kind of don't want to pass until I get a chance to do that. So what do I want to do? Well, play for time, I think, is the answer. I will spend 1 cube to improve somewhere. Oh, shit. Okay, here's the thing. Using these doesn't work because those are occupied areas. Unfortunately, I'm out of occupied markers, so I'm just going to have to remember. But I can't just cure those. Oh fuck! I don't know, man. Hate this. I have no opportunity to convert things. There's no unrest anywhere else. What the fuck is this? Oh, that's off the Austrians. Huh. That shouldn't be there. They had to pick the bigger one. That was this one. I put an extra vassal problem in a smaller place. So what the fuck does Turkey do? Do I raise my stability and hope nobody picks that card? I'm in the lead. It almost guarantees that this will happen to me. And I will just drop. I've used my events. I can't do anything to help that. I feel like my options are pass or move cubes around. My income is way too high to fix the issue. I guess I'm just going to live with the problem and do a pass. Just needed to play their cube to make an attack. All right. I have a ruler to fight for me. I have forces. I don't have a lot of money, so that was that. I draw a card for the rebellion. It is nothing. I get 4 dice. I had to look up that Turkish rule because if they can replace any number of dice with orange cav dice, that's one thing. If they're replacing their basic dice, that's probably not a great idea. But I don't know where the rule is. Okay. I get 1 hit on these guys. Oh, shouldn't have drawn a leader. Oh well. It's just too late. I get hit twice. Move those over. Didn't get killed. That's good. The rebels stay because they're rebels. I destroy them. They hit me again, and they wound my king. However, I have taken them out. This gives me my military cube back. Getting a cube back in military, it allows you to keep advancing, keep doing things, keep your turn running as you perform military actions. Much like if you have a lot to do in the old EU, you could just keep running your military. The problem is, it does nothing for that. That can end you. Yeah, so can the end of turn mechanism, or end of rounds mechanism in the original EU, but you could kind of guarantee you were going to get 5 or 6 military rounds. Here, there's no guarantee. Once you start doing once you have done, your economic stuff and everything, well, unless 2 other people are involved in military stuff and continuing to move the turn along, or have a huge advantage of cubes on you, you're probably going to run out of time before you run out of cubes. And that's the whole thing. If you focus only on your military, if you fight battles and this, that, and the other, you can probably get the kind of length of action that showed up in the old EU in a 5-year period. But again, these are like 15-year periods. And you're getting a lot less activity out of your military. This game's a lot less militarily, a lot less emphasis on the military, I guess. Is it coming out with historically accurate and believable stuff? I don't know, man. Think about so 15 years, that's like the Napoleon. The entirety of the Napoleonic Wars is 15 years, right? Not even. Depends on where you take it from. But if you take it from, the 1805 beginning to 1815, you're looking at 10 years. It all happens in one turn. What happens during that turn? Now, granted, this is a special case, but France essentially sweeps through here multiple times, defeating Austria and Prussia each a couple of times. They move into Spain. They invade Russia. Wow. It's going to take one hell of a set of cards to make that particular era work at all. You can convince me that all of the prior eras are a little bit better represented, although there's a whole lot going on, that's not being depicted in the game. But you can say abstractions, man. Cover it. And I'll buy that. To the Spaniards. The Spaniards don't have an army on them. I have not fired my event. I have not moved my cube. Do I want to explore? Well, no matter what, I decided I want to try to trigger that card. Cause myself problems. We'll move this over. With their economy in the crapper, picks decadent government. What the hell? Nobody's got constitutional monarchy because new ideas don't come out, man. I mean, they almost really can't. So I will do reform government. Because I can't pay the cubes, so I will lose my points. Must I pay my cubes? See, the way it's worded is, you must pay 2 cubes or lose 1 stability for every 10 bucks. Oh, I'm just not going to pay my cubes. My stability is so shitty that I think I can get away with that. The way it's worded, I think that's right, because I must pay or lose. That's poorly worded. Like, it should say you must choose to pay or something like that if I'm interpreting it right. Must pay almost implies that I must throw this in. Fine, I'll throw it in. I'm going to take it that way. And then I lose stability. But no, I don't buy it because, yeah, it's must pay. Like, pay is a choice implied. Okay. Over here, stability is already in the shitter. Fuck it. Over here, okay, for every full 10D, all right, so here's the problem. For, no, this is one player. So all players get a bonus. For every full 10D, you must pay, no, all players must choose, okay. All right, so that's what I thought it was, because otherwise it's pretty ugly. For every full 10D of tax income, I have to pay cubes that I don't have. My tax income, the way I count it, because vassal tax and base tax combined, is 1529 for every full. So I would have to lose 4 cubes or 2 stability. Or I can add 5 unrest on non-core provinces, or replace them with vassals and lose 1 stability. I'll take the 2 stability hit, thank you. Over here, we chose to have -3 stability. We knew this card was happening. Over here, -3 stability, ignore it. Spain, -3 stability. So having really low stability allows you to say, well, you know, screw it. All right, now we have a rebellion. I forgot to move the thing for England. Now we have a rebellion, and we deal with the English first, and I have an advantage in this, which is, I can't remember these things. I have to look them up every time. There are things in the old EU I have to look up every time. They don't feel like they come as often. All players must roll rebel dice for each of the provinces in unrest. Following the procedure, you roll a maximum of 1. Boned, I only had 1 anyway, so I didn't get a bonus out of the card. Certainly trying to remember what happened. Okay. Moving on. England had no problem. Austria. I don't know. I'm assuming I did Austria. But I don't know that I did. Oh yeah, Austria got Milan back, but I forgot to roll for that guy up there in the newly conquered territory. That could become something else. I don't know what the hell that means, because I can't do that. I can't do that with money, but it can happen apparently, where the area just settles down. For Poland, we got one of them as well. Those troops were already there. I don't think anything exciting happened. For Turkey, we actually gained control, and you know, I don't have enough occupied markers, so I can't do things right. France had a rebellion. Spain had a rebellion with religious undertones to it for the diverse faiths there. And I guess that's about it. I mean, other things were lost. Okay, that puts us to the next one. The next one is a cardinal dies. This is England's choice, I believe. I'm going to take an Austrian one, because Austria is high in victory points, and I don't want them gaining the extra point for control. And that actually swings control over to Spain, which I probably don't give a shit about. And then circles get killed. Only impact of that was that the Kazmersky, Jan Kazmers, ended up dying. Poland, who has not yet passed, could look for a leader. And I have one. I don't know if I need to play it. I'll make that decision when I get around to them. But yeah, they've got an interregnum right now. Do they want that? I don't know. There's no events out that impact that. There's no cards that seem to have an impact on that. And then a couple bucks on these 2 cards. which makes the global trade card even more appealing to the Spaniards. The question is how the Spaniards want to deal with it. Do they want to go exploring, which could be very cool, or do they want to just use a military cube to move there? And I still haven't made up my mind on that. All right, I'm done for a bit and kind of hungry. Oddly, I just got invited to a birthday party for someone else on my birthday. I forgot we shared a birthday. Only person I've ever known that was the case, and it's kind of weird. Yeah, I know it's fairly common, you know, I mean, like if you have a room of 26 people, the odds are better than 50-50 that two people share a birthday. And I certainly have known enough people that it should have happened before, even the recluse that I am. All right, so Austria. They need to cope with this, but once they do, I could then declare war. Now, my economy is not in good shape, but I think it's a good idea for me to build up a bigger army and then prepare for that. It says, yeah, I've gone bankrupt already this turn, and I'm threatening it again, but I need to resolve the rebellion down there. And the other aspects seem to follow on. I think this is a big enough army. It's putting me in the hole again, but my economy should be big enough to make up for it. Likewise, are dealing with their problem. I dropped a new crown, honorary of Poland, and we're going to attack those. There is an enemy general there, which is problematic, and I have no military advantages over the rebels. And I roll a bunch of crap. Lucky for me, I've got a cav present. Oops. Yeah. And then the enemy there has a bigger dice pool, and they managed to do 2 hits. Rebels stay. I will continue fighting. Oh, big set of nastiness. Wow. Rebels have 2 units. They wound my king and kill the maximum. My new king. My new wonderful king. He's not that good. But don't want to go in with an interregnum, and the extra die seem to make sense. What may be the final round, one would hope, although things have gone really poorly for me. Let's see, they should get another hit here. But that's cleared the problem. Already passed. France played a cube to just restore some order in a town. They're out now, so they're pretty much out. But rather than take a couple of bucks cash, which I could definitely use, getting rid of as much unrest as possible is almost always a good idea. Is going to do the thing that I think it's risky and everything, but again, 2 or more continents, I get myself an advantage. So I spent, I think I just spent the military cube. I'm going to take a shot at it. I want to take my chances. I get a 1. That's good. A 1 gives me, oops, another claim. We're low on claims here. Is that the one we want to take? We'll take this one, because we can always restore that if we lose more. Or do we not want to go into Algiers? I mean, we're close to it. Algiers is easier to deal with. Except a 1 doesn't help us. Fuck me. Oh well, at least I didn't lose anything. Yep. France took the only one. Okay. That's life. We know what our event is, at least. England lays down a couple of advisors and passes. Netting them a -1, but that's going to produce a lot of cubes for us. It pays their cube and marches down to fight against this rebellion. Why are there so many? Oh, because this was in unrest, but it unrested somehow. I don't remember exactly how. I do have a general here. Gives me 5 dice. I have everything except military drill. I get enough to wipe them out. I forgot to draw for a general. They didn't get one. Okay. And which means they get 2 dice. They hit me twice. But we have resolved the problem, and we get a cube back for it. I hope I've been catching up. You know, like the French, they only had 1 cube. Was that right? I think so, but I'm not positive ever. It's one of the problems with little edge case type pieces, right? Sure. Some strength point marker or something in, you know, in some game might end up getting reduced in a way. It might end up not getting changed in a way that you expect it to be. But here, these cubes are so damn important. They seem like such little things. They're just little tiny counter markers, right? You know, I mean, all they are is some number of things you have, but they're so fucking vital to the game that misplacing one, not forgetting to take something, whatever, is a big deal. A big deal along the lines of things that don't really feel like they're that big, like a buck here, a buck there. Wouldn't feel like, it could be the difference between a bankruptcy and not, but it usually won't be. Which now, the Poles did win a fight and don't have a cube, and they should. That I'm sure of. I say. I'm never fucking sure of anything. Do I want to spend a cube? You know, see, now I don't know if I can do my vassals. I don't remember. I think I can, but I don't remember what I decided. So I have to look at the rules and then reinterpret them each time, which means I may play with different rules regularly. So what we're looking at is the military, I believe it does say it. I've looked this up before. The military suppress unrest, it works on those. Okay. Yeah, so to me, it's worth playing a cube here to get both over here so that they don't do man of the church. It wouldn't have enough power. So that I can convert both of these to not being an unrest. I can't touch these. They're conquests. And so that's what happened. There were rebel dice rolled, if you recall. And here, for example, this got unproblemed. That got unproblemed by it. Yeah, that's an unword. We're back to France. France will be done and will be passing. Spain fires the last of the events, gets a couple of bucks, and let us see. All players with 2 or more towns or ships on 2 or more distant continents may either gain a 3rd merchant or develop a small town into a large one for free. Then I can do the same, or I can grow a commerce. I could take a merchant, but honestly, that third merchant feels like a waste to me. My economy is good enough. I don't need to be a mercantile power. So, the first one will be I increase one of my towns. I want it to be something that is good. you know, ports are important and valuable. Gibraltar looks, well, see, this isn't national territory either. Yeah, I don't want to do it to an area in unrest. I don't want to do it to one of the Dutch areas. I'll do it up here to Seville. Okay. My next one would be to improve a commerce area. This is more valuable. I'm out of commerce markers. That doesn't affect anything. Actually, no, there's one expanded commerce left. That doesn't really affect anything, but it's an annoyance, right? Which leads me more towards growing another city. And we'll take Cordoba, which is Spanish home province, for that. And now we trigger off all the bottom events from this one and from that one. With me in control of this one, the other one not. Okay. So first one, native uprising. Each player loses one colonist from the pool. Now, I got to be careful because this has an and I saw that. And gains one unrest in a distant province. Actually, I'm not going to lose my colonists from the pool because I'm allowed to neglect one of these. I already have unrest in both my colonial possessions. I would much rather lose that unrest, but that's not an option here. Next one is, Jesus, I can't see. Is that green? I think it's green and pink. And I control them. Interesting. Well, I don't know. I'll come back in a bit. Now, what are the restrictions here? Actually, for DNPR, any main map C zone. You may instead place one on a vacant territory. That's any vacant territory. So I could push them out into here. In terms of the Portuguese, I think I do want to push them forward and give them exploration somewhere else. There's nothing over in the Indian Ocean I can give them. Those all require fighting. Historically, they were involved there, heavily involved. That's where Albuquerque goes and whatnot. But instead, we'll go to the Far East. I don't know where. I got to find counters for them, too. Okay, for the Portuguese, we decided to put them in Timor. Why? We could throw them off in Eastern Australia or Southern Australia or something and really put them in the backwaters. This kind of opens up trade zones out here. We feel like we've still got some power towards going in those directions, although other people may be just as interested. So we put it there just to increase the flavor, I guess, rather than anything else, really. By theory, South Sumatra might be more appropriate. What the hell? And then for the Danes, we push them here down into Hanover, which is owned by Braunschweig. That's because the English have an alliance there, and we're also trying to cut our way deeper into making trouble for the empire in Austria, because Austria is still doing pretty well. The next one's a pirate. I think that just lets us put a pirate ship down. A fair number of these suckers. Where do we want to afflict with piracy? We'll put that on the Turks. And then finally, there's a death of squares. We'll talk about that in a bit. An advisor die, and General Curtis of Austria. I'm sorry, I find it amusing. I can't help myself. Blame it on my juvenile self. Spain, I believe, lost one of their decent advisors. I don't think any rulers got hit. There was a discussion about the distribution of the cards so that, like, the sickening cards, the illness cards, show up 2 per deck, right? Split between the half decks. Or something along, or there's 1 per deck or something like that, split between the 2. Okay, but there's also permutations that have to make sure that you're not killing someone off as soon as they show up. Now, that doesn't matter with these cards as much. Those you can't control for, but players can. And if players know where the ill health cards are, etc., they can plan for that with those cards. And also you have to plan for it with these. And that's the kind of coordination in terms of stacking the decks properly that has to be done. It can't just be, well, you know, there will be 1 of each in the deck. That's not going to be simple enough. Now, it depends on where they are. I could look at these and see what these are. So this one, and this might be why you need to have A's in here. This one is an A card, and it has it. This one is an A card. I am guessing that all the deaths are related to the A cards. Remember, there's a specific number of A cards that have to be in each deck, and that the system doesn't work right if they're not in there. I think this is why. I think it's because the health checks are there. Okay, this money goes away. I didn't test it out completely. Now, this is a B card, and it does not have it. What it does have is another one of them vassal problems. Disloyal vassals. Who just did this? The Spaniards did it. Okay, so of the areas that qualify, what do I have that's vassals? Still under marriage? I think I'm immune. Not under marriage. Ruh-roh. Missed this one. I think the Spaniards, fuck. It's these. I think the Spaniards were already supposed to be impacted by this. I don't get any troops out of it, but I should have been hit by a vassalage somewhere else. So I'm going to take the Geneva one as well from before. I don't always fix things that I catch in the background, but that one I think is important. I gotta run to the pisser. I'll do these for other people and report back. The Austrians flip this over again. No choice here, right? Well, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe there is. Maybe it's got to be Brandenburg. No. Find. Oh, fuck. Excuse me. Of the areas that qualify, you must pick with the most of their things. Yeah. So this has the same amount as this. So I can pick this as it qualifies. That's going to generate me another 3-man battle. And I do not have a military ruler, but I do have an army there. That 3-man battle has potential of a card. It has a general. Ooh, this is not good. That gets me 2 orange dice that are going to be played in. And let's bring the 3 soldiers. It's kind of useful to have Russia. I mean, you know, this whole eastern map, I'm using maybe 2/3 of it, right? But it's kind of useful that Russia, there's some clear space where I can roll dice, just because the game does eat up so much space. Okay, what about the Austrians? They don't get any extra dice. They don't take any dice away. I do a grand total of 2 hits out of those 3. But the general facing me gets a decent amount of horsies. He also does 2 hits to me. Okay. Will not retreat because he's rebels. I'm not retreating because I'm violent. I finish him off. He has a maximum of 1 hit off all these dice. You know, the combat system is very... I don't get a cube because it wasn't my turn. I didn't cause this. So I don't get any kind of bonus off of it. And I look for the leader and put him away. You know, we pulled an extra leader one time when we shouldn't have, but that's okay. All right, so that's the Austrian one. Over to the Poles. Do they have a vassal that's a problem? Well, yes, that is a problem. And that is the biggest one. So they also are facing an enemy with 3 armies. And have I passed yet? No. Neither of these has. My king is with me, and all I have is this cav. That's not good. And retreating is not good either. And we got even more orange dice on this one. Okay, this is not good. Poland is probably beaten. Here, Poland has no military capabilities whatsoever. They manage to do nothing because all I have is a cav. And I am wiped out. Any losses? No leader loss. So my king, this goes into the used troops. Wow. I'm pretty much out of troops. My king goes back up there. This disappears. And now Poland's in a shitload of trouble. Who's next? Is next swimwear. Any vassals? Still have this one. Why didn't that generate a problem before? That flipped over. I think there should be 2 military cubes there. Which means that's going to join its enemy. Okay. My big army can't get up there in time with the cubes I have, but I could do a reorg and get in there. One of those cubes should have, one of those soldiers should have been there before. Again, I'm correcting shit after the fact. I don't know. I hate when I'm catching this many mistakes. It's like, wow, how much else did I fuck up? The French have a vassal and another vassal, but this is the bigger one. So that generates 2 troops, which might wipe out the French artillery army very easily. This is one where we do not get I could throw an extra die in and risk losing Louis XIV, who is already ill. Doesn't seem worth it. French military, they have the Janissaries, that's it. Okay, let's see what they do. Oh, wait. Is that the right leader? No, I only have 1 army, yeah. Oh, I do have the king there. Yep. Can't remove him. I should get another die. But I have done nothing so far. Okay. 1 more die, though. Okay, still do nothing. And this revolt. Kills the king. That's there for now. Yeah, Louis didn't last long. Kills the king with no losses. I'm here. The artillery goes here. Did I put the army away? The army goes away. Okay. And that is all of those. Nastiness. And this was the Russian Imperial expedition, which did not harm the Poles. Oh. What's next? Now, it's funny. I think historically, the Russians kind of held their own against the Poles. They should be an annoyance to the Poles. In the old EU, this is a scenario because of the way minor countries work in war. They are really hard to beat if they're at all big. The exceptions being the Mamluks and the Hungarians. They are really, really tough to beat. They end up with big armies and not really willing to accept peace. They have like peace modifiers that reduce them from accepting peace. This thing can just, the wars that Poland and Russia are having in this period can just waste the Russians. And this is a big part of why Russia is fucked, is just because of the way the minor powers work. For the most part, they work fine. But Russia doesn't have the resilience, although it has some benefits, but it doesn't have the resilience that Poland has as a minor country. Because it is having other problems, times of troubles and such not start happening, and just dumps itself into the toilet. That was the Spanish turn. English pass, Austrians will need 3 cubes to siege everything there. They only have 2, and they've already used this up. I'll do this and take Milan back, but we still have an unrest elsewhere. Oh, no. This is just a quell unrest. It only costs 1 cube to do each one. Do I want to fight them? We could have launched a war which would get us the Iron Crown of Italy. We don't want to do that. We want to restore the unrest situation. I think that's more valuable. I'm not sure. But whatever. Okay, Poland has not passed yet. Poland has a bunch of stuff. They don't have an army anymore. And they have a bunch of problems, to tell you the truth, in terms of their vassal here. I can build an army right there and make use of extra troops. The problem is I only have 2 troops available. Oh, I don't have a whole hell of a lot of cubes. I don't have a whole hell of a lot of anything. These are going to get lost, and that screws me completely. I won't get my Polish Navy, so I absolutely have to figure out a way to do this. Enough money, I could buy mercenaries and fill out my army with mercs, which might be the solution. The other option I have is the replenish manpower up under minor actions, which could get me 3 more regulars into play, which would be about the same. I think cubes are more valuable than money to me. I think I can put a big enough army together that I'm going to just build an army. Reestablish an army here. Do I have enough to build? Well, I only built 2 of my own units, so yes, there's tons of stuff around me. As well as the vassal near me. But I also bought $12 worth of mercenaries. And now what is this going to do? Well, we slowly hobble to grab dice again. We have an extra blue die, and the enemy, who has a general, has 3 blue dice. Wow. Luckily, that's not going to do a whole hell of a lot, I hope. But yeah, these rebellions are really causing problems, aren't they? Okay. So Poland, no military advantages. I get 2 hits. One off the infantry, one off the cavalry. So those go there. And the enemy can only do 3 hits. I can't take it all on mercenaries. They do 2. That'll be, wow, the Polish army looks unhappy. That'll be that. Fighting continues. I finish them off. And they get another hit on me. I will take that on a mercenary. That is a victory on my turn, so I get my cube back. Spain takes the final pass. That means Austria and Poland each have 1 more turn. There's no events, so they just get to do what they want to do. Austria wants to do nothing, but... Oh, Spain played an administrative dude. A whole bunch of diplomatic cubes would be useful. A whole bunch of military cubes would be useful. I can put myself in debt and get 1 set. And I can get this as well. Revolutionary ideas, I'm not going to be able to play that, so that's definitely going there. What about these others? Royal marriage, I've got all my marriages down. Tactical reserves. So the big question is, do I want to do diplomacy or do I want to do military stuff? Diplomacy is very, very appealing for taking vassals and turning them into possessions. What do I want for this? Either one of these, really. Owner vassalized Brescia, Franche-Comté, Namur, Luxembourg. Franche-Comté is not. Burgundy's free. That's going to be hard to take, although the Spanish seem to have lost their cubes there somehow. No HRE provinces owned by non-HRE opponents. Denmark's not an opponent. They own a lot of provinces. Outside of that, Spain has some vassalization, but I think otherwise we're okay right now. How about this one? Owner vassalized 5 or more Lombardy, Central Italy, and Naples. Okay, we have a lot of cubes in Central Italy. Venice is not in Central Italy at all, so we can't use those cubes for them. Unfortunately for us. We don't have an alliance there. Oh, I'm trying to see what it would take. You know, we could subjugate Milan, but I'm tempted towards the military because we're really close to getting the Iron Crown of Italy. It's really iffy. Like, I'm at the verge of going into default again. I should have enough money to be able to handle things, and all those extra cubes should be helpful to me. That's how I'm thinking. On to Poland. I need to swap my battery, though. Best move, I think, is to get their unrest under control. I've already got a problem here. So we're going to do 1, 2, get the ports under control. They're important to me with this. And then just make sure our cards... I mean, a royal marriage is useful and all, but so is a lot of cubes. This guy I already have, so we'll just spend $4 on that. And get that back. What happens, the money from passing, what is that? Well, you can say it's some sort of investment that you're engaging in that maybe doesn't really reflect itself in an expenditure of cubes or whatever. It's just there's ways to get around and kind of explain that. Now I've got to go play some more of my raid, but that's putting us to the end of the turn sequences where so what happened? Wow. Well, the end of turn is going to cause more revolts and stuff like that. But the Austrians got foiled in their attempt to go for a war. The Poles rectified their situation as best as they can. They succeeded in their war. Turkey succeeded in its war. A lot of war this turn, man. Austria had a war, which it did succeed in. Okay? But nothing between players. The biggie, the Charles II, setting up for the Spanish succession crisis. Austria and Poland have their marriages. Now, think about, the hard call that was put forward. The Spanish succession wouldn't be a big national event if the two countries involved were Austria and Poland. The big deal was that France, the Bourbons, the fact that this would all be one family, along with, colonial operations, etc. That was the big fear. The other fear was something similar, which is the Habsburgs were proposing the imperial heir initially. Well, not initially. No. Initially, everybody kind of finally agreed on a Habsburg heir to the Spanish throne, but then he died before Charles did. So, but yeah, the situation that's dangerous is the idea of it all becoming one realm. I don't think the game's going to allow that as an end state, that it truly becomes one realm. I don't think it's going to allow a sort of vassalization type situation, which was a secondary fear, that a temporary vassalization, somewhat like Portugal had or has in EU, somewhat like the Charles V reign with the Austrian, with both the imperial and the Spanish crowns in the same person's head. And of all places that there was a serious issue, right? Think about this. The Habsburgs managed to set up Charles V with that. If Philip II and Mary had an heir, think about what a mess that would have created as well. The same kind of huge power imbalance happening. No game can handle that well, because what the games do, okay, Crusader Kings kind of used to. I don't know if they still do. I seem to remember after the first Crusader Kings thing, they started to make it harder and harder for you to consolidate something like the Habsburg Empire. Like, non-players would change their succession laws to make sure that didn't happen. I kind of didn't like that, but I got to tell you, the game went really off the rails in terms of, like, if you were sniping the right marriages, you could basically own all of Europe. Is that terrible a thing? I mean, Europe's about the size of China, and there were people ruling all of China. Well, I don't know. It ain't what happened, which is enough. Okay, so I'll come up at some later point and deal with the end of turn aspects. Okay, again, playing by the rules, but I don't really like this way this rule works. The NPR invasions. If an NPR, which is not an active ally, is at war with any PRs, let's take the Mamluks, they're the example here, and none of the areas where the NPR currently controls provinces contain hostile units of the NPR. Well, that is voided. I did not take all the areas, which means that the Mamluks end up not causing an invasion. So if I had conquered this and all of these, the NPR would be in a position to try to retake. Now, it wouldn't be that impressive. They'd have 2 armies or whatever. But still, it is the fact that I left at least one area unconquered that I entered. And this doesn't make sense to me. Whatever is back here should still, be every bit as having troubles, but having an attempt to, liberate the capital or whatever, right? There's an attempt here to do something, and I kind of understand it. It's the idea that I've conquered, that they faced me with their army or something. I don't know, but it's very disturbing to me. If I play again, like especially right soon after, I think I'm going to tinker with that rule. I think that the NPR should be allowed to attack back. In particular, I understand why these can't fight. They've already fought, right? And that's not really an issue because things can wave back and forth, whatever. But these have already, how is it? And none of the areas where it currently controls provinces contain units hostile to the NPR. Yeah. So these should be excluded, but there should be a 2-point army trying to relieve that. Everywhere else there's units, there was a fight in all of these other areas. Okay. Anyhow, there are no NPR invasions by the rules. There's an interesting situation here. This has, and again, it's going to feel funky. These 2 provinces have 3 each. Aragon is alphabetically the lowest, so this one gets resolved first. There are no unrest markers here, so 2 of these armies are going to move into the most eligible place. Now that happens luckily to be here, and we'll do that and fight the battle that comes from that. But, oh wait, no, 2 have it here too. Well done. Okay, so this area, all right. So now we break more ties. Move all but 1 to areas which is adjacent by land, if any, preferably the most unrest. This counts as 1 unrest, at least how I'm playing it. So there's 2 unrest here, 2 unrest here. It's equal. There are other areas that have unrest near it. Then most PR locations, that's going to be the Spanish one. But it was quite possible that these could move into here that already has troops in it and is just going to siege these areas, and it's going to be able to, well, it's going to be able to siege one of them. It would be able to siege both, so it would actually have an effect. But it would be possible that it could just flood into an area that's already overloaded with rebels. Actually successfully defeats these, which is impressive because all they have is 1 infantry there. Screwed up. I counted 2 hits on instead of the 1. What ended up happening was both forces got wiped out, which makes a lot more sense to me. It's not like Spain would gain anything out of it. Then the next one that we'd look at is down here. Nothing can happen here. There's no overland areas. I can't go injecting here even if it was close. So 1 disappears. That one's addressed. I could turn those over. The next one, it kind of doesn't matter. It's going to be either here or here. I'm going to do the Turkish one. I'm not going to worry about the alphabetical. There is an area, okay, this gets sieged and ends up being taken away and joins the Persians. Ouch. Okay. Over here, we've got 2 sieges. This one's preferred. Provence, which is its own territory, is taken and the French lose their vassal there. Now, the Provençal region over here is not an issue. Okay, so we have addressed all of these. We have one more area with a rebel. There's nothing in unrest. It goes away, and that rebellion just quiets itself out. Now we go to peace resolution. There are a number of unconditional pieces, and then there's a partial victory here. Unconditionals, Poland turned its claim in so that it could remove unrest in 2 of the areas. Polish Navy, own 2 or more ports, yes, and 4 or more light ships. Not yet, but soon, soon. We're almost there, man. And, you know, this is a level 2, but... All right, now the final. Turkey is going to vassalize this. To me, this is going to break the entirety of the Mamluks, because I meet the requirements. Partial victory. There are no Mamluk allies on the board, whatever, right? Let's just make sure we've got this. NPR about PR deployed out land units outnumber the total number of rebel armies in their areas, plus any deployed enemy land units. They're not at war with anyone. There are 2 here. I've got more. So I have 1. Why this rebellion over here has anything to do with it, I don't know. I could have succeeded in the same by taking almost nothing of the Mamluks. Now, I'm taking vassalization. I occupy the capital and at least one of their de jure provinces. This one, which should have an occupied marker. Okay. And returns all, okay. The victor places their vassal on all of the losers' de jure provinces, except any provinces occupied by other PRs, and returns all their towns from these provinces to the town track on the player map. The victor may place 2 cubes in the loser's realm, add unrest to all of the gained vassalages where the victor occupied no provinces. So that's going to cause some unrest over here, but I occupied the other provinces that are converting. Remove all alliances and marriages from the losing realm. The victor may, by discarding a claim from any areas where they just gained them, remove 2 unrest from those areas. So I will do that since if the vassal falls, I guess I probably get a claim back. Here's the net effect. The actuality of what was once the Mamluk realm, well, it's been small. It's been made smaller. So like I gained Tripoli, but that's not Mamluk. If that revolts, it becomes something else. Because I removed all the dynamic NPR markers entirely. I think that should be the case. It's not covered in the rules at all. If I was following the rules explicitly, it wouldn't happen that way, but I very much want to see the NPR broken by it. That doesn't mean that Egypt can't re-rise, but what would re-rise is this kind of area. And we took our claims back there. Our situation is very different now. We have we lost, cities that we had, but we get to keep the ones that we conquered previously. A couple of cubes, I forgot about those. I get to conquer Egypt, right? Conquer or vassalize all provinces in Egypt and Cyrenaica. Okay. I gain a claim in 3 of Hejaz, Yemen, Aegean Archipelago, Tripolitania, Tunisia, or Algiers. Whew. Well, I got claim limitations here. I don't have very many claims. Hejaz, Yemen, Tempting, man. That would allow us to start using our exploration capabilities that we bought long ago to inject ourselves into the Indian Ocean and the Far East. Oh, speaking of which, cards should go in for deck 4 because the Portuguese made it there. So the entire trade deck is together. One of my claims I still had available. One of them is a core region over here. That's kind of important. I could remove that. I can remove this one. It doesn't do me any good. And I can, maybe not. I got one more I could remove. Let me take a look at my goals, because I think I may have a goal for Sicily, but I may have accomplished that with the Aegean stuff. There's no goal for Sicily here. Another option would be, well, I have the Danube goal. Either of these can get me into a war with Hungary. Do I want to blow them? I don't know. This one is serving some purpose still towards getting me a war there. Do I really need 2 off-board locations? I don't know. Maybe not. I can't tell if Hejaz is an island. So there's this annoying, I can't tell the colors. Okay, the blue is very dark for islands, which means that these are not islands. They're made, Madagascar is not an island. Okay. I definitely want Tunisia, because that works for the Barbary Coast. I have to have 6 or more provinces in Tripolitania, Tunisia, and Algiers. I'm close. I'm at 5, but 5 isn't enough. I'm going to put another one over here at Hejaz because Yemen is too hard to get to. I get 6 points as well. So I'm at 61 points, threatening to lap people. Okay. And this goes over with the rest of the Turks. Turkey's doing quite well, not far from this one. I think that's the last piece I had to take care of. What does that mean? That means prestige penalty. Disputed succession. I don't believe there are any. Occupied towns. Who has towns that are occupied? All right. France and Spain each lose the value of their regions, which is 1 each. England loses 1. I don't see any other rebels. Nobody's had any territories conquered after the peace step. Interregnum. Okay, that's loses stability and end up with marriage problems. Most important is over there with the Poles. But yeah, let's look. Yeah, they have marriage with the Poles and with Austria, but they're okay right now. France is at lowest stability and has no marriages. Turkey's not an interregnum. Poland's not. Austria's not. Ooh, we put an Austrian roller in and I forgot to check the HRE election. Shit. We'll have to go back to that. England, stability would go down. Doesn't. And they have no royal marriages. So nothing too exciting is set up in terms of the war of some sort of succession war. But I have to look at that HRE election. That happened kind of late in the turn. Always forget it. It's, you know, a little thing that happens. If the emperor had 4 or less, I'm at 4. The PR receives votes from the most elector areas. The PR that has the most cubes in an elector area gets the votes.
Pretty much nobody has cubes in an elector area. Lower Saxony might be one. I don't know. But it looks to me like the Austrians hold it between the imperial cubes and the other cubes. And I don't think anything happens. Okay, so I think basically nothing happened due to it. It just remains in the Austrian hands. Time to look at religious dissent. To do that, I have to deal with a battery switch and having troubles. But I learned something interesting. I didn't know this was the case. When the battery's not in it at all, if you plug this thing in, it's green, which is why it looks green when the battery's not connected correctly. It's kind of obnoxious. And flipping it over, you would think the gravity would help. It's at least as bad. But sometimes it works better one way or the other. Anyway, there it's fucking, you know, I hear it go and I'm like, all right, well, I gotta get back. It really feels more like the connection that the charger itself makes with the wall rather than the battery connection within the charger, which, you know, my little example shows one thing, but I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Because it's like wiggling it a little bit in the socket is what brings it back. Putting extra pressure on the battery doesn't help or not. Actually, I had it hooked up there. That wasn't helping. Nothing seems to help. Obviously, power is going into the charger because the little light goes on. Yeah. That was actually my means of testing electricity in all the sockets in the house. Some of them don't work. And where am I? Yeah, I wanted to give a rundown on what happened, and then I got distracted enough that I don't really remember anymore. So let's take a look. Austria had an unrest show up here, and that seems to be the only one that impacted them. For Poland, yeah, they had to take at least one. They took it in Bohemia. Even with the tolerance, they weren't able to do any better. That's because I want this. I want to keep those provinces, and I've got a lot of problem up here where I have a vassal and whatnot, so I want to get my navy out there rather than take it in some of the Lithuanian stuff that I could let fall, and then it would become like a different Lithuania, I guess, because it wouldn't be vassal to me, but it would be same national center, and they would conglomerate up to a second Lithuania. That would be very much like what happened in Hungary, but it doesn't work that way because Hungary's not got core provinces in the same way. Turkey. I blew a cube, I think. I got rid of a cube over here or something, or maybe one was here, the second one was there, I don't know. No, didn't have to. This is religious. Gotcha. France, actually France is in good shape religion-wise now that they're Protestant. Spain not so good though. Madrid has switched over. Now Madrid won't allow us to go Protestant or anything. It's diverse faiths. It's just ugly. It's like whatever religious agreement there happens just doesn't work for us. Why are there so few of these, is my question. It looks like there's tons of these. Oh, these on the other side are, no, they're orange. They're different orange. Oh, the Dutch. The Dutch are the problem there. So I may actually swap Portugal out so that both they and the Dutch have enough counters because there aren't enough NPRs. But I'll do that later on. Now that the Mamluks are gone, which they should have been by the time the Dutch came in. What else are we looking at? England was fine. Religion is good there. Spain was the troublesome one. We got some unrest up there. We got it here. We no longer are holding any Muslim areas, at least. So there's that. And that brings us back around. And now nobody's still at war. A lot of people are going to get unrest due to bad stability, though. Just playing with fire with Austria. They only had 2 areas in unrest, but they got a result of $2 and an army withdrawal. They could have taken a cube as well, but you know, I could not have predicted that they would be in this good a shape. That like, plus it could have rolled 2 buckers, and then I would have been bankrupt again. It's okay, but Turkey's army has depleted tremendously at the cost. They have a lot of unrest, so they got out okay, considering they had to make 2 re-rolls for revolt results. I think I fucked something up. Not too surprisingly, which is that here there should have been a revolt flag, and that should cost the French another victory point. This should have been sieged. I didn't do so, and that should get me a cube over here. I should have another cube too. Don't know what happened. That would be for this one that I didn't get. Oh, I'm missing cubes all over the place. Fuck, man. Spain should have a cube. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is happening here. England has theirs. That was long established. Austria has one and shouldn't. Ugh. Poland has a whole fistful and shouldn't. That was during the peace phase that those 2 happened. And Turkey is good. Okay. Where am I? I'm on Roll Rebel Dice, and I just got to the French. Oh! Yeah, because they should have sieged here. And I wasn't paying attention. I was only paying attention to the second clause. France got away okay. A few army exhaustions. Spain also okay, I guess. I lost a cube. I lost army. I lost some cash. You know, France lost a lot of cash too. But you can see they're both kind of being wiped out by this. Oh no, Spain lost Granada. That's the biggie. And they may have lost something else too. Because I seem to remember 2 towns changing hands, but I don't see it. I did not do these guys for Spain yet. So Savoy switched over to being happy, although their territories in Switzerland did not. English paid some cash. That is the end of the Rebel Dice. That'll put us to the income and upkeep phase, and I need to go play some raid. But yeah, we're winding down on this turn. What about these? These guys took this. Yeah, I did the siege there. I don't know why I didn't do the siege over there. I just forgot. My mind was over somewhere else. Other places aren't siegeable. So like, there's Spanish vassals here. Those can't be sieged because they're not in unrest. I just calculated out, you know, all the intern income, including monarch, whatever, for the Austrians. And they're in some serious trouble for such a big country in terms of total cash. This big debt is not good. It doesn't look great. Some of it is I have an army built. It's not a huge one though. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, that should only be 5 debt, 5 off the income. But I only pulled in $9. It's going to be hard to retire that debt. Now, there are countries, you know, like England, obviously, but also France, Spain, Turkey to some extent, that have a fair capability to generate income off their trade action. Austria is not one of those, especially now that, you know, we kind of got booted from the Adriatic. We're not claiming the ocean here. We wouldn't do that. Big boys, Turkey and Poland, still pulling in great money. Turkey, though, a little bit of a cube shortage here, and you know, I got advisors and stuff, just not great ones. It just shows when you have a bad ruler, and I like this. This is the empires of the Middle Ages feel, right? Oh shit, I got a crappy ruler, I can't do shit. And that kind of bleeds through in the old EU. Most of the leaders are good enough, but especially Turkey starts getting really crappy leaders at about this point in the game or a little earlier. And they just have real trouble like doing anything because of it. They also have, you know, lousier military leaders across the board for the most part. It's already becoming the sick man of Europe at that point. I needed to keep my military cubes because I've still got a fair amount of unrest in my country, and I'm going to have to absorb this whole new vassalage. I threw out a diplomatic, which is kind of a pity because diplomatic cubes would help me. Oh, I also have some armies here, which could be problematic as well. But the diplomatic cubes could help me just absorb this and get it into so that I'm actually taking towns for it. I did the French income. I noticed they have 2 debt. That can't be right. They have the National Bank. They should only have 1. And I think they're due $1 back because I don't think these are just double. I think these actually reduce the interest too, don't they? Oh shit, no, they're not double. They're 8 instead of 5. Oh. Okay, let me think. I thought they were double. All right. So I pulled in 15, 16, 17, 18. I wouldn't have had enough, which means I should have $6 more in my treasury. This isn't an optimal solution. And I gotta remember when I pay it back too that they're $9 each instead. But basically those would have given me $3 more each. I'm not quite sure what caused them. So it's kind of tough to tell. But I can't fix the issue completely, but I can give them a few extra bucks. Talk about serious cube shortage. Yeah, again, I have an interregnum. I had cubes for France for this, and that led me to look up territories for the definition again, because a term like that is, and it is very specific. It's only these numbered areas, so I only get 1 cube because my other claim is to Benin. Spain is also. Spain's kind of interesting. With Cromwell in charge, nice cube count, even though my stability's shit and I had to throw 1 away. Nice money. I got a gold coin on me, you know. Spain's actually looking like one of the big boys now. However, let's just say, once more for good times. However, yeah, there we go. I needed to catch up. The unrest situation in Spain is still problematic. Yes, I have the Counter-Reformation in place. That's likely going to help, especially with the development card. Same as France has a development card. They can both send missionaries and fix areas that are hard to fix. Like, normally you need to own the area. Missionaries means, yeah, you just have 1 piece in the area and that's good enough. So that's kind of important. Spain is also awaiting this horrible problem of what happens when Cromwell dies, because there's people who want to restore a monarchy or something. I don't know. Whatever it is. Lots of people. And they're all marrying Charles II now. Charles II couldn't have kids. That was part of the problem. And probably in some ways for the best, because that Habsburg strain was getting so bad genetically. For the English, I think this is the first time anybody's reached zero income. And I feel kind of lucky that it was that high. Yeah, with all those loans and everything, nothing came in. Not a lot of money. I got the advantage of being able to use merchants a lot better than most people do. Even though I don't have free trade, France and Turkey do. God. Or Poland and Turkey do. Neither of which have been relying much on it. They both have big countries with lots of money, so they don't really need the trade. It's England that sometimes uses their two merchants. But if they get to use their two merchants, they're probably okay. That third merchant is really an iffy thing. And unlike in the original EU, money is not paramount. It is an important ingredient. Now, there are games where money is ridiculously important. Again, I'll step to that Soldier Kings game as an example where everything, I think, kind of translates into cash. There are no other really, I don't think there are any other limitations on you. Those kind of games, especially with freewheeling diplomacy and everything, you can just end up snowballing into a monster in it. And the only real advantage is because of the freewheeling diplomacy, it's pretty easy for players to counter each other, but it ends up feeling like this kind of bland experience. You know, it almost feels like you're playing something that's not Europe, you know, that's not this world. It's not being driven by the events or anything. It's not being driven by a more complex diplomatic system that takes real considerations into play of how, you know, how diplomacy actually works, that it's not just people cutting deals behind the scenes. Countries have interests that can't be represented directly in the game, so those interests have to be expressed somehow in the diplomatic system. Anyway, if you don't have a diplomatic system, if you just let people cut whatever deals they like, things end up way too fluid, and all kind of stuff happens that doesn't feel as good. The game that I blame, or credit would be a better word for it, for kind of changing the diplomatic landscape in a way that's just perfect, is Empires in Arms. Empires in Arms is the game which you could kind of make an argument Blood Royale has something. It has the first, but it's not that far off time-wise. But Empires in Arms is the first game I know of that didn't either say, you're in a fixed alliance, like so many of the World War II big games do, you know, like Third Reich and whatever. It was just, yeah, the alliance is fixed, or maybe there's a random event, chit that like allows you to keep Italy out of the war or something, I don't know. But let me think. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if War and Peace predated it with, I believe it did, but it wasn't as rich a system. It was you can come to peace, you can go to war. It was a very, very light system, but it was sort of the first hint that I can recall of anything that was starting to say, you know what, powers diplomacy was somewhat limited. You couldn't just turn on a dime on one of your turns and launch an attack against an enemy without some kind of cost in play. Now, in War and Peace, you had to maneuver a little alliances, chits around and whatnot. And that worked, but what Empires in Arms really did was put that idea of there is a cost to your diplomatic actions. You know, there is something that you lose if you violate, you know, your treaties or anything like that. That peace was not simply how much can I grab. It was related to how much you can grab, but no matter how big your piece was, you didn't just conquer the enemy, you took pieces of your enemy. Anyway, everything, you know, that's kind of, or a lot of games since then have kind of followed in suit. And EU is definitely one of them, and now this. Trying to think what else. If you think about some of the CDGs that are multiplayer, they kind of have worked a diplomacy chart into it too to try to represent the same thing. I think this is kind of the pinnacle. And I think it does it better than the original EU did. So that's very nice. What the fuck am I on? I have done everything. I am on the next stage. So I run through everything and then get down to this board and status mat. I don't expect a hell of a lot to happen there. Indeed, it was mainly just mechanical stuff, shifting the turn order marker. The Turks got it, shifting those things. We're ready to get the sneak peek at the cards. I just want to mention something kind of personal again. I haven't done it in a little while. Hey, I did a video on, you know, on all that instead of pumping it all in here for whatever reason. Which is, this is a kind of just random. Well, a couple. One is the weather's kind of lousy. I feel no regrets for not going outside. It's kind of a weird thing. I felt the same way. So lousy weather here, like rainy weather and everything, and sunny weather in Phoenix, neither one gave me any shame, right? Like, I didn't feel like I needed to do anything. Every day was sunny in Phoenix, so, you know, yeah, I had the nice habit of going out and taking my swim. If I had a fucking heated swimming pool here, I'd be going out and taking a swim every day too, you know, just because it was a matter of habit. I can't put one in. Certainly not now that, you know, I'm no longer working. But you know, it's kind of funny. The times you hear me complain is when it's kind of nice. That's when I feel guilt that I should have gotten outside, when it's a different kind of weather. And that's what ends up depressing me more, is the pretty days. Okay. The other thing is, I noticed this when I'm drinking my tea, but almost everywhere, I've got this taste of lemon in my mouth, and have for the past week or two. I think it's something my body's creating. Sometimes I get kind of a vinegary smell in my body odor or whatever. That's something my dad used to get. And, you know, as I've gotten older too, it kind of shows up. It's kind of weird. It's not terribly unpleasant, but this is new. This is new. And kind of odd. And it's, you know, for the most part, lemon tastes okay with everything. It tastes really good with tea, and I feel kind of bonus that I don't have to. But I don't know what the fuck's going on. All right, let's take our peek at the cards, and then we'll load this up. New military ideas. Kara Mustafa's ambitions. Okay, this comes with Mehmet IV, who's an okay ruler. Would be a big bonus over the Sultan Ferdinand here. Add 3 unrest to Ottoman towns. Ottomans may declare war on an opponent. If they do, they gain 2 military and may refresh half their exhausted military, which would be a big bonus. Or the end of the Defschirme. Ottomans lose a stability, no biggie there, but gain a military. If they have it, they lose tertios janissaries and gain another military idea. Not sure what that means in the case where there's 3 there. I think one would get drawn. I want to get more ideas in the game. Theoretically, what this should have done is taken janissaries, which should be outmoded and useless, but they're not. They're perfectly fine. And replace it with something like line infantry, which everyone else should already have, but the campaign game not allowing new ideas to show up easily is really problematic. And I don't know what the hell to do about it. Okay, Ending the stagnation, Sobieskian army reform, and this comes with Jan the Third. Sorry, who I guess is an improvement over, who's the king of Poland right now? King Andrzej of Poland. Good military leader, good at everything except administration. Poland gains 2 military and 1 stability. Nice. And you may refresh half your exhausted military. You may place a claim adjacent to Poland or limit the power of the Sejm. Poland loses 2 stability, not so good. I'm one of the few people with any, and gains a military. And may research an idea at a discount. Who cares about researching? They've all been there. Of 4 cubes. I think that means I can research an idea for 1. And maybe it would be 0 if I had the scientific revolution. Because it's at a discount of 4. Discount means you take away, as opposed to it only costs me 4. But maybe they're miswriting it. Add an unrest to a Polish town and 4 rebels in that area, you gain an admin cube. Clearly the army reforms does less damage, and I don't really know that I see any reason to go for the other one as the Poles. But if somebody else picks it, all bets are off. Is there any U? Yeah, here there's a U gain and administrative. Here I don't think there's any U, which means you're just picking it to fuck with the Turkish choice. The scientific revolution. Aha, aha, aha. Draw idea cards to create a new row in the display of ideas. Yay! Or complete an incomplete row. You gain 1 admin and must pick A. Then all players get to choose. A is this changes everything. Research scientific revolution for free and loses stability. Well, France obviously doesn't want that. This is heresy. Gain a stability. Excellent. So everybody can get scientific revolution for free at the cost of the stability. This is an appealing card. And bringing, okay, so now new ideas are starting to show up. And we'll see how rich that builds the idea set. Remember, some of those new ideas may be old ideas, though, unless I have fucked things up. Now, it says replace. It doesn't say discard. So those, I think, go back in the deck. So every age, somebody has an opportunity to throw cards back, to take cards out and replace them. But you still only have this 9-card tableau. That's going to change. And that is what I've been waiting for. I think something like this should have happened earlier. I think more ideas should have been added. Although, honestly, the amount of cards that are out that you have to pay attention to is already painful, right? But anyway. Yeah, the Turks don't have any military ideas, but adding a military idea, the way things are phrased in the rules may be important, but I think that they may be able to pull one from the deck of their choosing because they have all of these, but I'm not sure. I would like that. That's what I would definitely do if there wasn't the scientific revolution there. And by the way, if no one chooses this, it just doesn't happen. All that happens is a cardinal dies. I'm not good at it anymore. I used to be able to get them to attack. So when my first wife and I went out, she was wearing something red. I don't remember what. And I did my cardinal call, and this cardinal just started swooping in and attacking her.